If you want to get your hair done and you're terrified of leaving for whatever it takes, start with going to the gas station and filling up the gas tank by yourself. Go get a coffee, even if you don't want one, and come back. So do little things, and you're going to start to show your brain it's okay, because this is chemically linked to our brains. Like the oxytocin that we now have surges of because of our children and this love we have for them is also telling us that we have a responsibility to be there for them all the time. So this isn't just something you're making up. Your body's telling you this, but you have to start proving your brain that no, my children are going to be fine if I do these things, and I'm not losing out on things.
Welcome to the Marriage and Motherhood podcast. I'm your host, Michelle Perda. As a marriage coach who's married with 3 kids, I know how much parenthood could change a marriage. If flirting, laughing, and having fun together feels like a thing of the past, then I'm here to teach you that marriage doesn't have to feel so hard with your parents, and your marriage can thrive even when you're in the season of raising kids. Whether you're in a good place in your marriage and you just want to continue growing together, or you're wondering if you even like your spouse anymore, this podcast has something for you. Join me here each week as we dive into what it takes to help your marriage grow, and maybe even do a 180. You'll learn ways to handle conflict better, bring that spark back into your relationship, as well as learn how to improve other areas of your life from my lovely guest experts. Are you ready for the next stage of your life and marriage? Let's dive in. Hello. Welcome back to another episode of the Marriage and Motherhood podcast. Today, I have a new friend here. Her name is Krissy Bold. She is a mom identity coach. I mean, I've never heard of this, but that's amazing. And I know just from my experience of becoming a stepmom and then becoming a bio mom and then having another child after that, I know how many times I've lost myself. And I know from all of my clients how much I hear it's like a universal experience to lose your identity when you become a mom. And sometimes you experience it again with every subsequent child. And so I'm very excited to dive into this idea of why we lose our identity, how do we rediscover our identity, and also how do we make mom friends? Because I can't tell you how often I've had clients tell me, like, I don't have anyone to hang out with. I don't have mom friends, or I don't have friends right now. Now that I have kids, it's like they're my friends. Like they're the people I spend the most time with. So we're going to dive into all that stuff because I know that I'm not the only one that has wondered these things. So Krissy, I'm so glad to have you. Thank you for joining us here on the show. Can you please let the listeners know where you live, how old your kids are, and what led you to do this work of helping people with their mom identity?
Oh my gosh. Thanks, Michelle. Thanks so much for having me. I'm thrilled to be here and to be talking about my favorite topics here. I live in New Hampshire. I'm a mom of 2 little boys. They're ages 4 and 2. I'm with them full time and figuring out myself and my passions and my goals outside around in the little pieces in between, hanging out with them and chasing them. And I started on this journey when I was figuring out who I was after my first and second child, like realizing like I have no idea who I am as a person anymore. And I started talking to friends. I started an Instagram account making children's activities and connecting with people that way. And then I kind of dabbled with starting with a podcast, and I started interviewing my friends and realizing that this is such a common thread, that everybody has their own story. Everyone has their own journey. They're so wildly different, but there's this thread that ties all of us together, that we go through this earth-shattering, world-shaking experience where we don't know who we are anymore. So I took a pause on my podcast at that point and really dove into this, did the research. I'm a math person. I'm a science person. I need to understand why things work, why things happen. And I learned through that this is not just common, which we hear so often, like it's common but not normal, but this is common and also very normal, and something we should expect, something we can scientifically expect that will happen and that we should be talking about. So I relaunched my podcast. It's called Mom's Guide to Finding Herself, where we talk all about why we are not weird or bad or alone in not knowing who we are as a person. And it is okay to want to fill in those gaps of who we are. And I relaunched my Instagram page to be Mom Identity Project, to just really dive in all the different aspects of who we are as individuals outside of that title of mom.
Incredible. I mean, I know how challenging it was for me to become a stepmom. Like, obviously, that was not something planned, right? It just kind of happened. And that was really isolating for me.
all of my friends were still out, going out to bars, meeting guys, or like going shopping and doing things that you would normally do in your 20s. But here I had like a 1 year old that I was now parenting with my now husband. I was like, what is happening? My day is now filled with going to the park and like making sure that he's being fed and doing all of these things. And I was like, I'm no longer doing the things that I used to do. I now feel like I don't fit in with any of my friends because we don't do the same stuff. I'm not available to do those things. But also, I kind of put this new identity on without even knowing it, that moms don't do those things. Or I should say, good moms don't do those things. Right. And so I was choosing to exit out of that life, but I didn't know what to do after that. And so I'm sure you hear this a lot, right? Like that next thing you know, you wake up and you're like, I don't even know what my favorite color is. I don't know what I like to do. Like, I don't know. I don't know anything. I just know I need to take care of this kid. And that's it. So what is it about motherhood that has us all going through that experience where we lose ourselves and we have this like state of confusion of who are we even? Like, I don't know anything about myself, but I can tell you a million things about my kids.
Yeah. Well, if you've been pregnant and given birth, there's one layer of it where you are quite literally experiencing a chemical and hormonal and physical change in your body. Your brain is literally different in so many ways than it was before. Very similar to when you were a teenager. You went through your adolescence and your brain changed, your body changed, and you effectively became a new version of yourself when you became an adult. The difference is when you were in your late teens and early 20s, everyone else in your social circle was too. So you were all going through that. Who even am I? What is going on? Where's my place in the world together? And it was all weird and awkward, but fun because you were partying and doing all the things and just kind of trying things. You had your whole future ahead of you. But now in this experience of becoming a mom, you are often the only person you know going through that at that time, unless you've met people maybe through a prenatal group or you were lucky enough to have family or friends having babies at the same time. But even in that prenatal group, you might not be friends or friendly enough with those people to be brutally honest with them with what you're going through. So it feels so isolating of not knowing who you are. But like we just talked about, like this is something we can expect. This is something we should be able to prepare for just as much as everything else of becoming a mom. But we feel like we're bad people for not having motherhood be the ultimate end all be all and not for wanting to even bounce back. Because let's be real, things that we liked before, just like we were kids, we don't like anymore. Like when we were kids, we liked playing with the dollhouse every day. We couldn't wait to get home from school to play with your dolls again. And then you became a teenager and that wasn't important to you anymore. It wasn't something you valued. But then we go through our whole adulthood and maybe you really enjoy reading and that's something you really value. That's part of your identity. I am a reader. I value reading. And when people say to you, oh, I don't really like to read, you think in your head, well, yeah, you just haven't found the right books. Or maybe they say, oh, I don't have time to read. You say, well, you don't make time, but like these are the stories you tell yourself. So after baby, maybe you pick up that book for the first time and maybe it just doesn't feel good. It feels icky. It feels like something to do. Your brain can't focus and you just want to put it down. Now you've got all these stories that you're telling yourself that you've been telling yourself about people for years, because now you have this complex adult brain that's had lots of experience of telling yourself stories and wiring different neurons to go to these judgment statements. But now you're judging yourself. So it's very complicated of how do we get out of this? How do we feel not so alone? And how do we even like come to terms with this new version of me?
Oh my gosh. Yes, I do feel like we have different stages of life where we're like building ourselves and then almost like a death of that version and then building ourselves and another death. And it does feel like that when you become a mom. I was just on another podcast earlier today and I was talking to her. She's expecting her first. And we were talking about how to set her marriage up for success after kids, right? Yes. And I was like, it's kind of like this experience where you get thrown in the water and you got to sink or swim. It's like, there is no amount of preparation that you can have where you're going to be like, okay, I got this in the bag, because it's so unpredictable. You don't know
Mm-hmm.
how you're going to feel physically or emotionally, mentally.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you have no idea what your kid's going to be like, what you're going to
Right.
deal with. And you don't know if you're going to have postpartum depression, postpartum anxiety. Like, there's just so many things. And then
Mm-hmm.
that's just yourself, right?
Right.
Then you've got your circle and how they respond to you as a
Yes.
mother, and the things that they have to say and their opinions, so many opinions.
Yeah.
And so it's not any wonder why we go through this, like, oh my gosh, like, this is so much. It's like overwhelming.
Yeah.
So, what can moms do for those who are still knee deep in it? They're like, I have no idea what you guys are talking about. I'm still here. Like, I haven't gotten to the other side. I still don't know who I am. I still don't know what I'd like to do. I just know that I want to be a great mom,
Mm-hmm.
but also I feel like something's missing.
Yeah.
What's something that they can start to do to ease into this process of rediscovering who they are?
Yeah, that's a really great question. And I want to hit on a point that you brought up of saying that the longing, like you need to feel like you want something. If you are listening to this and you are thinking, I am happy as is. Like, I will be totally honest. My number one piece of my identity is my kids. My personality is being a mom. Like, that's who I am. I love it. And that's probably 90% of me. And that's who I am. But there's this 10% of me, and everybody's different. Some people it's like 5%, some people it's pretty much none, and others it's a much larger piece of their pie of wanting something different, wanting to be somebody else, wanting to have other talking points. And it doesn't matter where you fall on that. If you're listening to this thinking, this isn't me, I'm just happy being a wife, a mom, whoever I am, great. There is no should here. There is no judgment in thinking, I have to do something for me. I have to be multi-dimensional, whatever. Like, no, you are you, and that's great. But if you are one of those people listening thinking you have that need, that gap, there are definitely things that you can start doing. One of them is by noticing the moments in your day when you're resentful and you're thinking, oh, I really wish I could go do yoga. I'm so sick of not being able to just do yoga when I want to. Or like thinking, what did I do with all of my time before I had kids? I did nothing. What was I doing? And all of those things that you're longing for, start a notes lists in your phone. Go into your notes app and start creating a list of those things when you're resentful, when you're angry, when you're longing, whatever that feeling is, just write them down, because you're going to start finding pockets of time in your day, like 5 minutes here and there where somebody's watching the kids and you didn't expect it, or they're really into their TV show or snack or whatever. And you're like, what do I do? And usually what we do is we pick up our phone and scroll, which is fine. Sometimes we just want to dissociate and laugh at all the memes, but other times you end up scrolling and you're like, what am I even doing? Or you're seeing other people that have their thing and you wish you could have that thing too, and you're just like kind of feeling crummy about yourself. That's when we go to our notes app and we start pulling out that thing that you wish you could do and take action on one of them. And then a step further is even forcing yourself, planning time into your day, 5-10 minutes, small micro pieces of time where you make a goal for yourself. I like to do 10-day challenges. So for 10 days, I'm going to X. I'm going to do 10 minutes of movement. I'm going to declutter. I'm going to read, whatever that thing is that you want to try on. Don't just pick it up and put it down. Do it for 10 days. 10 days is long enough to see if this is something you want to work into your routine. But it's not so long that if you miss day 4, you're going to quit. You could still pick it back up and finish your 10 days. It's not like a month. So I say do 10-day challenges of 10 minutes, 5 minutes a day, whatever that thing is. And eventually you're going to start to latch onto your joy. You're going to latch onto things that lighten you up. And you're going to say to yourself, I don't want to just like force myself into the 5-10 minutes. When you find the right thing, you're going to have that dollhouse feeling again. You're going to say, oh, I can't wait till I have that moment of time that I can work on this, or that I can practice this, or I can talk about this. Now, the other thing we can do is start to be silly, because we get really caught up in momming being overwhelming and busy and nonstop. And like, we're always trying to find the shoe and get out the door, and everything feels urgent, but
so
it doesn't.
Serious.
Right. It's so serious, but it doesn't have to be. So I have a freebie on my website. It's called Daily Doses of Joy Challenge. It's a bingo board that has like just the silliest, most ridiculous things on there, because we forget how to laugh. We forget how to be funny and silly and be light. It's things like using an accent or naming an appliance and you call your fridge that name for the day. It's things that are going to get your kids to giggle, that are going to get you to giggle. And then before you know it, you're remembering what it's like to even lighten up those parts of your brain, and it feels good, and you start to get different chemicals going through your brain, and it reminds you what it's like to even feel happy.
Yeah, that's so important. I feel like we can so easily get caught up in the day-to-day stuff. It's like, okay, from this time to this time, we're supposed to be doing this, like getting the kids ready. And then you shuttle them off to school. And then you got your own stuff to do when they're gone, whether you're working or you're like taking care of the house or whatever. And then they come home. It's like, okay, dinner rush, bedtime rush. And it's like, then it's like, okay, let's just go to bed. But ever since I started allowing myself to have things for myself, it's so nice to have something to look forward to, right?
Yeah.
So now I look forward to tennis. Now I look forward to reading. Now I look forward to listening to music or dancing. And when we have those things, it does make it a lot easier to be silly, to have joy and share in it with our kids. And so it's so fun to see that kind of come out through our kids too, because they're like, oh, if they could be silly, we can be silly. And my daughter is like unapologetically like so loud, so herself, and it's so awesome. It's like, okay, she's like, I want to be you. I'm like, I want to be you. Like, you're so out there, and it's such a different way of growing up than what I had growing up, right? And so I love that you were teaching people very sustainable and easy ways to approach rediscovering who they are. I always say, like, take baby steps, right? Because when we think about like, oh my gosh, reading a whole book, that could be really overwhelming depending on what you're reading, right? Like, I just finished a series and the last book was like 1,000 pages.
Oh my gosh.
But if you told me that that was the book that I was going to read, I'm like, hell no, I'm not doing that. That is too much. I know I'm going to quit, and I don't want to put that on myself. So I'm just not going to start. But you know what? I just told myself, okay, let's just read for 5 minutes. Or let's read until I fall asleep. But the next thing you know, it's like, oh my gosh, this part is getting so good. And I'm just making my way through the book so fast. And it's like, okay, book 2 now book 3, now book 4, now book 5. And now I'm like, wow, this year alone, I've already read, 12 books.
Wow.
And I spent years not reading because I was so knee deep in motherhood, forgetting to find joy in doing things on my own.
Yeah.
I'm like, whoa, this is wild. And so as someone that's been through that and gone through the other side, I'm like, please take the tiny steps to rediscover what you love. Even if it means trying things that you've never done before or revisiting things that you enjoyed before, it doesn't matter. It's so worth it, because not only are you doing it for yourself, but it translates to your kids. And then you get to be silly, like Krissy is saying, like naming your appliances or randomly singing what you want to have them do. It counts.
Yes.
So what about the mom guilt? Because that's something we can't talk about this without addressing that, right? Because I think one of the biggest things that I hear from my clients is, well, what about these other things I'm supposed to be doing instead? Or what about hanging out with my kids when they're at home? I don't want to take time away from them. I don't want to tell them mommy's doing this because their childhood only lasts for so long. And you know, those like posts like, oh, you only have 18 summers with them. Like, okay, that's great perspective, but also let's not use that as a way to guilt ourselves to not take time for ourselves, because they can do without us for wherever you're at, 5 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day. For me, I'm like an hour, 2 hours. You can work your way up. But what do you have to say to those who are feeling that guilt and it's like eating them up and stopping them from taking action for themselves?
Great. Well, there's 2 pieces of this I want to talk about. The first one is it's a muscle. Like, we really have to work on it. If you want to get your hair done and you're like terrified of leaving for the 45 minutes, whatever it takes to get your hair done, like, I don't know, I don't color my hair, so I don't know how long it takes, but for whatever long amount of time, start with going to the gas station and filling up the gas tank by yourself. Just like go there and back. Go get a coffee, even if you don't want one, and come back. So do little things, and you're going to start to show your brain it's okay, because this is, again, also chemically linked to our brains. Like the oxytocin that we now have surges of because of our bonds with our children and this love we have for them is also telling us that we have a responsibility to be there for them all the time. So this isn't just something you're making up. This is chemically linked to your chemistry. This is in your body. Your body's telling you this. It's not lying to you. But you have to start proving it wrong. You have to start proving your brain that, no, my children are going to be fine if I do these things, and I'm not losing out on things. Now, the other piece of the puzzle here is if you have a partner or somebody that's helping you raise your child, it's important that they also have the opportunity to have that independent relationship with your children. So for me, my husband roughhouses my boys after dinner. I don't want to be a part of that. I don't want to be there gasping and telling him to be careful and doing all the things that's preventing him from having a relationship with his children and them having a relationship with their father that's authentic. I don't want it to be my version of their relationship. So I'm giving my children the gift of having that relationship with that other person without my influence involved. And in order to do that, I have to give them the space to do it. They're still loved. They're still cared for. It's just not with me. And I need something to do to fill that time, so that I'm not just like wondering, what am I going to do? What are they doing? Is everything okay? So I think there's two pieces to that. It's meeting your own needs chemically in your brain by training yourself that it is okay, and then thinking about the bigger picture of they deserve to have this other piece. And if it helps, you can also keep a journal, like a prove me wrong journal. Like, these are the things that I did actually do with my kids during the day. Like, create a highlight reel, because it adds up. You know, we hear that a lot about Instagram. You're seeing somebody's highlight reel, their 30 seconds of their day. Like, think about all of your 30 seconds. It's probably pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah. And also, we don't need it to be like TV worthy, right? As long as it feels good to you, that's the point. Like, if your kids feel loved and you feel good, like, that's what really counts in this life. I even heard from a friend that just walking around the block could be a great start too. If your brain's like, they're going to be in danger, everything is going to go wrong because I'm not there to, hold down the fort or make things go my way, just go outside. Like, you could stand out front, you could go walk around the block. If you come home, the house isn't on fire, the kids are safe. Look, you could just spend more time. Like, okay, let's push it a little more. And the biggest thing for me was letting go of the control, right? I'm like, oh, but he doesn't know how to do it this way. It doesn't matter. And they're never going to figure out their way if we're always there doing it, right? And as long as you guys are on the same page about what it means to be safe and how you want to raise your kids, what values you want to instill, let them figure out their dynamic with your kids, right? Just like Krissy was saying with the roughhousing, like, I have no interest in doing that whatsoever. And if that's how they want to bond, great. Just don't make it a hospital trip, okay? Like, that's my only requirement.
But he doesn't want that either. So, we have a mutual interest here.
Yeah. And that's so important to give them that opportunity to be a father, to have that relationship with them. But if we're always there, it does change that dynamic. Just like sometimes it's different when we have one-on-one time with our kids, right? It's like, if I take my son somewhere, but my daughter's not there, I always like make a big deal out of it. Oh, it's a mommy and Dylan date, right? Or if I'm just with my daughter, I'm like, oh, it's a mommy and Ellie date.
Love that.
Because it's different. Like, every new person you introduce into the group, it changes the dynamic. And so I think it's important to remember that it's okay for us to go do us and like help rejuvenate our well-being while they do their thing. And it's all good. Like, everything will be okay. Okay, so let's dive into the whole friendship thing, because this can get pretty awkward. So as a mom, I've been parenting for a long time. Like, what? Almost 14 years now. It is something to make mom friends. First of all, the kids have to get along. And then also there's a dynamic of, do I like the parents? Like, will we be the kind of people that hang out, or it's like, okay, you guys can hang out and we'll just be doing our own thing. Yeah. Or are we all going to hang out together? So for those who don't have their quote unquote village and they feel like they're doing motherhood alone and they just have maybe some family around, but they don't have like solid mom friendships where they can like text, like, oh my gosh, this is what happened, da 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 da, and they can kind of like, you know, bond over this traumatic experience that motherhood is. Yeah. And get that support. What is the best way for people to start changing that for themselves? Because I know for us growing up, making friends happened through school or through work, places that we are often spending time. But as a mom, it's like, okay, well, A, if I have young kids, they're not going to school. Where am I meeting these people? Or B, they are in school, but things are a little busy. Yep. Right? So how do you recommend that people start to make steps towards building those relationships with people so that they can feel like they have a solid group of people that they can lean on as well as they navigate parenthood? Yeah.
It's so tricky because, like you said, when we've made friends in the past, the one that it's really been like we have to find friends is school. You know, we make friends at work just because it happens. And we make friends outside of that just because it happens. Circumstance, you know, somebody in common. Like we haven't worked on meeting new people since maybe middle school. And now that we're adults, we are terrified that it's going to be middle school again. That we're going back to that awkwardness, the judginess, the are they going to reject me-ness of all of it. So we put up a lot of boundaries and we don't even know what we want for friendships anymore. So it takes a bunch of steps to really dig deep into what you want and where you're going to go with this. Like, do you want somebody that you're going to be getting together with once a week for? Or do you want somebody that you're going to text every now and then? Like, what do you actually want? Because we have these expectations of what friendship is. And we have these images in our brain of what mom friends are like, where they're sitting there with the coffee while the kids are playing in the back, like every single day. Is that really what you want? Great. I mean, but whatever you decide you want, it's going to change your process here. So what we need to start with is going through the beliefs that we've set, our confidence, our barriers, and our expectations and hopes and dreams. And once we do that, we can start planning how to actually reach out to people. And that takes a lot of bravery. So that's why you have to do it first, because people aren't going to find you. We want that to happen, right? A lot of us have this narrative of, I'm always the one that's reaching out. I am always the person that is making the plans. But if we're all feeling that, then like there's got to be some mutualness here. So if you want something to change for you, you have to make the change. So we have to start talking to people at the playground, at the park, at pickup, wherever you are. And it doesn't have to be awkward. You can have a canned script of what you can start with. I have a freebie. It's called Make a Mom Friend in 7 Days. It's a PDF. You can download it and it gives you 7 days of prompts that you can do that will walk you through this process with things that you can say, DMs you can send. Now, maybe it's not in person. Maybe you are one of those people that the thought of talking to somebody in real life makes you want to throw up. Like, go onto Instagram and trick the algorithm into giving you friends. And the way you can do that is by starting to interact with creators that seem like they would actually be friends with you, that you would actually be friends with them. Find small creators that are making content that you relate to, that you're like, wow, you're really funny. Wow, you seem like my kind of person, and interact with them. Like, comment, share, DM them from their stories, things like that. And the algorithm's going to start showing you more people like that. And then start sending real DMs. Wow, it was so fun how you did that. Spark conversations, and then it starts to flow. So we can start by meeting people in that way. And then the next piece of the puzzle is, you know, it's not just about meeting the people. You can't just get the phone number. You can't just send the one text. You actually have to start nurturing friendships. Now, research shows that you only need one significant friendship in your life to make an impact on your mental health. Just one person. You don't need this whole mom squad. You don't need this group chat. You just need one person that you can send that emoji to that feels like a hug, or you can send a meme that's going to make you laugh your head off for like 2 minutes and nobody's going to know why you're laughing. You just need that one person. So the next piece is that. So I have a workshop on Wednesday, May 28th, it's coming up, that is called How to Make Real Mom Friends. And it's a 4-part process, a 4-part roadmap of what we can do to take those people that we have like little friend crushes on and nurture those relationships so that way they can become the friendships that we're hoping they're going to be, or not. We can't trick people and we can't plan this. Things fizzle out. People aren't compatible. It's kind of like dating, and it's awkward and weird, but it's part of the process, and it takes a lot of guts to know that. We're on my Instagram right now, Mom Identity Project. I'm doing a series. I just started it, of the myths that we tell ourselves about making mom friends. Like we're too late, and we're too awkward, and we're too much, and we're too loud. And we've got to start facing these beliefs that we might have about ourselves so that way we can put ourselves out there and meet these people, because guess what? They are just as desperate for connection as you are. I had somebody comment on the post that I did today that she's going to a party for one of her kids, a kid party, and she's been terrified about going to interact with these other parents. But through this, she realized that no, like she's not too late, and this isn't middle school. So she can go and talk to these people, and very likely there's going to be someone there who is just waiting to meet her. And this could be the start of something really cool, just by opening up yourself to that and thinking that no, it's not that everybody already has their friends. It's not that everybody already has their group chats that they're a part of and their circles. There are people out there that are looking for connection. And even if they're not, they're going to welcome you because you're so cool and they want to know you. So give them that chance to get to know you.
Yeah. And I think like a great hack is to actually use your kids.
Yeah.
Like
Yep.
your kids are great friend magnets. Yep. So I just took my daughter to the park earlier today, and there was another little girl there, and I think she was with her nanny. And I was like, what's your name? How old are you? Yes. And it's like, that's all. You just have to find like, what do you guys have in common? Just work off of that. Or I'll like compliment someone. Ooh, I really like your earrings.
Yep.
And that can kind of just break the ice, and they'll be like, oh, I got it at da-da-da-da-da. And I'll be like, oh, why are you here? How old are your kids? Or, whatever. Like, there are so many things that you can bring up in a conversation. Like if you have your kid at a extracurricular activity, like my daughter does dance. It's like, oh, how long has your daughter been dancing, or what classes is she taking in the fall? These can all slowly start to build a foundation where you can continue to vet each other, because it does really feel like dating sometimes. It's like, okay, are we on the same wavelength here? Yeah. Do we want to hang out? Do we want to have our kids hang out outside of where we normally see each other? Yeah. Are you a kind person? Like, that's really what it is, right? And then next thing you know, like, you're supporting each other, you're exchanging numbers, you're doing things outside of your kids, and then you've got that friend. Yeah. And I love that statistic that you shared, that you really only need one meaningful friend. And I think that is such a good reminder, because like when we're younger, it's all about popularity, right? But if you look back at those friendships, like, how deep were they? Did you really know them? Right. You were really just hanging out of like convenience, and they were probably pretty shallow relationships. Like, how many of them actually knew the core of who you were? How many of them did you actually have deep conversations with that you wouldn't even share these things with other people? So like, don't put so much pressure on yourself to be like the mom who has so many friends. It's like, as long as you have someone that you can lean on when you really need, and someone that you feel like you truly enjoy their company and you don't feel like you have to try. I think that's like the biggest thing, is like finding that mom friend that you're like, I can just be myself. Like, you can come over, my house is messy, but I don't have to feel bad about it. Or like, I'll open the door and I don't have my makeup on, or like even like my outside clothes on, and you're fine. Like, just come on in and make yourself at home. Like, that's my kind of friend. Like, be who you are, accept me for who I am, and we're going to be good to go. So I think being intentional, as with all things in life, is going to be a really great start for you. Is like, what kind of friend am I looking for? Right? Because there's different buckets.
Yes. And it doesn't
Also,
have to be in person. Like
no.
you mentioned the kids and coming over, but we are in this stage right now where we can be as connected as we wanted to be with anybody in the world.
Yep.
So actually interacting on social media or joining interest groups. It doesn't have to be another mom. It could be somebody that you're into crochet. So you joined this
Yes.
crochet Facebook group and you're interacting with somebody's posts and you find you have the same sense of humor and you're both kind of quirky, so just send them a message and start to connect that way, because that can have just as much impact and meaning as the person that you're actually going to go to coffee with.
Absolutely. Because of this podcast and
Yeah.
because of what I
Mm-hmm.
do, I've made so many friends I've never even met in real
Yeah.
life. And some of them I've had conversations with that I haven't even gone that deep with, like people that I've known
Yeah.
for a really long time. So, like, don't limit yourself to just in person. And I think that's a really great point, Krissy. Thank you for sharing that. Now, that's all about making friends. Now, what about people who have friends
Mm,
and now they're realizing, like, ooh, this stage in life, I'm feeling not as close to them right now.
yeah.
And I feel like, what does this mean? Like, to
Yeah.
outgrow someone? Is it okay? Should I hold on to it? Should I like reach out more? Let's talk about that, because that's like a very real thing,
Yes.
especially after you transition into motherhood
Yeah.
and as you get closer to, right now I'm 40, so it's like
Mm-hmm.
weird to say I'm midlife, but like
I know,
I'm
right?
midlife,
Same.
right?
Yep.
So we're like knowing ourselves a lot more, and that's amazing. I wouldn't trade that for anything.
Yep.
But now it's like, now you're looking a lot more into who are the people that I want to keep close? Who
Mm-hmm.
are the people that I want to continue to nurture a relationship with? But also questioning, well, what does that mean about people that I've been friends with for so
I know.
long? What does that mean?
Yeah. So there's two pieces of this. One is sometimes those friendships aren't gone, they're just on pause or they're in a different way. So we have to redefine what friendship is going to look like right now. Like my best friend and I, we were used to sleepovers and going out, like, I'm here, get in the car, we're going to get some coffee and sing songs at the top of our lungs. And that's not how life is right now. So our relationship has like gone through ups and downs of trying to figure out like what we are now. Where do we stand? And a lot of that is redefining what it means. Like we are no longer sending daily texts of the little things that are going on. And at first that stung both of us. Both of us, it was really painful and hurt. But we started to realize that's not why we're friends. That's not why we like each other. I don't care. I mean, of course I care, but I don't truly care. Like the trouble that she had picking out her outfit this morning, not in this phase. So we have agreed that we're going to share each other the big things and celebrate the big things and make that a point, which was tricky too, because my definition of a big thing is not her definition of a big thing. So when she finds out something that I didn't think was big that she does, that hurts feelings again. But we've just kind of come to an agreement and an understanding of right now, I will share with you what I think is big news. You will share with me what you think is big news, and we will figure out the rest when we can. We will fill in the gaps and the holes, and we'll get to the end of this, and we'll get to another phase of our lives, and we'll figure it out again, all over again. But we're still there for each other. It's just different. Now, there are, of course, friendships that fade. And part of that has to do with the shift in our identity because we had shared values with these friends, whatever that might be. And when our values and priorities change, right now our priority is this human or these humans that we are dedicated to keeping alive and happy and well. And when their priority is what it used to be, because let's be real, bounce back isn't a thing. We're not just going to bounce back to our old interests. Then the interests clash and the amount of time that you want to dedicate to somebody who you don't necessarily value what they value anymore. Maybe you now think that those things are silly and frivolous and a waste of time. Like you don't want to hear about it necessarily. And they don't want to hear about your things that are frivolous and unnecessary and silly. Like you don't have common shared values anymore. And that is okay. That doesn't mean you have to cut them off. That could just mean that you're not dedicating time to send voice notes to check in with them anymore. And eventually, maybe once a month or once a year on birthdays, you send a message just because you want to keep that around. And who knows, maybe when you're out of this phase, they're going to be a person in your life again. So we don't want to have these like big grand friend breakups, but yes, you probably are going to grieve these friendships like they are breakups, because these people were so important to you. These relationships were so important to you. And now that they're not there, you're grieving it. You broke up and it sucks. But what are you going to do about it? Like, that's the next step. Allow yourself to grieve, of course, but then decide where to go next. Is it that you're just going to replace them with new people? Are you going to keep them in your life in a different kind of way? Like, where do you want to go with it? And it's okay to say, I want to be done. I just want to be done with you.
Yeah, I've definitely gone through my fair share of like creating distance and even breaking up with friends because I'm like, okay, you are doing me more harm than good when I spend time with you. And it's been a pattern of that. And so, like, we're just better off not doing this anymore. And I think the biggest lesson for me growing up in my adult years is that friends come and go in different seasons. And we also have a different purpose for each friend, right? So, like, you could have a tennis friend. You could have a friend that you talk to, but you wouldn't necessarily think of them to go have a good time. Or you could have friends that like board games and friends that you do mom things with. And so I feel like the less pressure we put on friendships and the more clear we are on where we stand and what we have in common and what their purpose is in your life, the easier things feel. What do you think about that?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, when you think about the reason, and because then it's not just you. It's not like I did something wrong. I'm a bad person. I'm not worthy of their attention. It's now, well, no, I mean, we worked together and we talked about work. And then we also talked about life because it was convenient, but now we're not working together anymore. So we don't have as much reason to connect. I mean, we can still go get ice cream once a year, or we can still check in with each other over Jeopardy, but I don't have to have a conversation with them about why this isn't working or why this isn't right now. I just can let it be and know that I'm not responsible. They're not responsible. It's just the way life is right now.
Yeah. So all that to say, relationships in general, whether it's marriage or friendships, they can be complicated. So give yourself grace. And if you are wanting to enter this phase of like, I am ready to make friends, whether it's a mom friend or whether it's just a friend in general, go check out Krissy's workshop. Can you tell us a little bit more about that again? I know you mentioned it earlier, but mom brain, like sometimes that kind of goes away. But can you tell us more about your workshop and where people can connect with you if they want to learn more about you?
Yeah, so the workshop's on May 28th. I'm going to run it again in the fall. So if you're listening to this at a later date, keep watching. It's called How to Make Real Mom Friends. And it's about my 4-step process, 10 minutes a day, about how you can nurture those connections that you've made, those phone numbers you've collected, and go through that process to start to build something that feels real, that isn't just the small talk. And if you missed that, I also have a program on June 3rd, Making Mom Friends, where we're going to go through building your confidence, really diving into the nitty gritty. I'm going to hold your hand. We're going to go step by step for 4 weeks of what's going on behind the scenes, what's holding you back from making these friendships, and how can we go from feeling like everybody has somebody but me to looking for and actively nurturing relationships that feel like the person that you just want to open up the text from because it's going to be a nice warm hug, whatever way. So that's starting June 3rd. I'm going to run it again in the fall. And then through all of that, I also have that PDF 7 days to make a mom friend that you can find on my website. All that and the workshop are totally free, and that will be evergreen. That will always be there. So you can find that. I am on Instagram at Mom Identity Project, where I'm posting all about friendship right now. And then who knows, I just keep finding different parts about motherhood identity that we want to explore, that everybody's going through, so we can go through that. And my podcast is Mom's Guide to Finding Herself, where we go through just, you're not bad or weird or alone for not knowing who you are as a mom anymore.
Awesome. I love it all. If you have resonated with this episode, please go give Krissy a follow on Instagram. Go check out her podcast. Go attend that workshop and let her know you found her from this show.
Yeah, I'll give you a discount code for the program so you can put that in the show notes. Yeah.
Yes. Awesome. Thank you so much. It's so generous of you. Okay, mamas, you deserve to have your person or people, whatever it is that you prefer. Okay, that is a form of self-care. Knowing that you have someone to lean on, like, I can't tell you how much it does for your well-being. Okay, so if you don't have that right now, go follow Krissy so you can change that for yourself, because it's one of those things where it's like, okay, I'm never going back. Now that I know how it feels, now I know how awesome it is to have someone that I can make fun of motherhood with and talk about my kids in a loving but very honest
Yes.
way. Like it helps so much to alleviate the stress that comes with motherhood. Okay. All right. If you know someone that could benefit from listening to this episode, please share this with them. Better yet, share this in your stories and Instagram, tag us so we know you're out there. We always love interacting with our listeners. And if you have loved this show and you have been listening to all episodes and you're like, I just want everyone to know about this, share the show, but more importantly, leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you listen. I would so appreciate it. That is how this show grows. And it really lights up my day when I see a new one come through. All right, that's it for this episode. Thank you so much, Krissy, for joining us here and sharing your expertise. And I will catch you all back here on the next episode. Bye.
That's it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed making it. If you did, please send me a message over on Instagram at Michelle Perta Coaching to let me know what you loved most about it. Hearing from my listeners is my absolute favorite. And if you've been loving this podcast, please leave a rating and review. This will help people like you find the show and get the help they need. Catch you here on the next episode. Bye.